Hey guys, and welcome back to Newegg TV. My name is Paul. Today I'm going to be doing an unboxing, a quick assembly, as well as an overview of this open-air test bed from LIAN LI. This is the T60, aka the Pit Stop T60. Now, if you're in the market for an open-air test bed like this one, there's some things to keep in mind, but basically I would not necessarily recommend using this case, if you can call it a case, for day-to-day PC use. It's really made more for people who are going to be doing lots of perhaps benchmarking, overclocking, or system testing. It's made to be open, so you have easy access to all of your hardware components, so you can add and remove things very easily. Now, that's not to say that you can't use this as a day-to-day case. You totally can. Just bear in mind, with it being open, your parts are going to be more exposed. They're going to get more dust that might fall down onto them, so just something to bear in mind as far as keeping everything protected as well as clean throughout the duration of the life of your computer. But this is designed for ATX Micro-ATX as well as inherently mini ITX motherboards. It is DIY, so it comes flat packed in a fairly narrow box, and I'm going to be doing the assembly of it here in just a moment. It's available in 3 different colors. The T60A is silver. This is the T60B, which is black. It's also available as T60R, which is red. And then down here at the bottom, there are some of the features that are listed off. First off, on the lower left-hand side, a couple optional features. So this is an add-on little, or a couple of add-on items that you can purchase. One is the multimedia I/O, which gives you a couple USB 3.0 ports, as well as, for instance, your mic and headphone jack. That's not included in the box, but you can buy that separately. I haven't found much use of it so far, or much need of it so far, since I've been using one of these test beds at home personally, but that is an option if you want to add that on. Also optional is a 120 or 140 millimeter fan cooler bracket mount. This is another thing that I have been able to do without thus far, but if you want something that's a bit more sturdy, or especially if you're going to go with a larger, say a 280 millimeter closed loop cooler, that could be a nice option for you to buy that little bracket. You have removable anti-vibration rubber ring suspension hard drive racks, so for mechanical spinning drives, helps reduce some of that vibration. Standard ATX PS2 power supply units can fit in this case, and you get plenty of length available as well, since it is open on the bottom. You get a 2.5-inch hard drive cage, so you can add in some SSDs or some smaller mechanical hard drives. Standard 5¼ optical drive bays are also available, and then you get 8 PCI slots for expansion. This being a standard ATX board, you're probably not going to be able to fit, say, a 4-card Crossfire X or SLI solution on there, but with all those expansion slots, you can do up to 3-way, so very nice to be able to fit that much hardware. You might notice this box was shipped, which is why it's a little bit torn up, but it arrived here just fine. In the upper right, we have a bit of text here from LIAN LI, although bear in mind it's perhaps needs a little bit of QA on it, but if you want to read over some of their information about this, such as why they did certain things certain ways, I'm just going to point out the material, which is made of aluminum all throughout. Also 351 millimeters wide, 330 millimeters high, and 400 millimeters depth. Also a weight of 1.8 kilograms. Inside the retail box, we have, first off, instructions, which are very important for this, since again, it does come in a DIY state. You're going to need to assemble it, but fortunately, LIAN LI has provided lots of pictures, which are extremely helpful, along with the text, of course. Multiple languages also available in their accessory guide. Also lists all the parts that you get with it. This is a revised form for the power switches, so these are front panel cables. If you're going to be connecting those up, just pointing out what's what. A little bit of supplemental information there. And then we're going to move on to the parts themselves. Now, there's some packing in here. Let me just show you kind of how it's packed. There's some closed cell foam around the edges, keeping everything nice and tidy in there, and then all the aluminum pieces are actually kind of laid down there at the bottom. Everything is individually wrapped to keep it nice and pristine during shipping. So what I'm going to do is pull all this stuff out and lay it out here on the table so I can point out to you guys what is what. So here in front of me is the contents of the box, and again, I'm not going to go over every single one of these, but for example, we have the motherboard tray over on this side. We have the handle that goes across the top with the LIAN LI logo, as well as the base of that. There's some additional supports. This is the piece that goes at the back where you mount your power supply, for example. Here's a drive cage. There's some other little rails that go down to hold drives in place. Here are your Pci Expansion Slots. That gives you 8 of those. You get a baggie with accessories for screwing things in, as well as the rubberized feet that you can put on the bottom of it to keep it stable, as well as protect the surface that you're setting it on. Some more drive cage holders, another metal plate right there for the face. And then here's one of these side panels. So this is kind of 2 of these that go on either side to kind of keep the whole thing rigid, and also give you that height that gives you the handle across the top. So just give you a closer look at this. It's got a really nice black finish on it, kind of a bit of a brushed metal look on either side, and this is really sturdy aluminum. So not only is it lightweight, but it also is sturdy, so you can really tell some very nice build quality here. And I'm sure, since I've already assembled one of these, that once I get this put together, you guys are probably going to really appreciate how solid the whole thing is once I get it going. So speaking of which, that's what I'm going to do next. So I'm not going to do a step-by-step walkthrough of the build right here. Basically, we're just going to set up the camera. I'm going to put it all together. We'll give you guys a speed through of that if you want to take a look. Honestly, the instructions do a really good job of letting you know how to assemble the thing. So I'll be back in just a few moments with the fully assembled T60. All right guys, the build is finished. I'm actually going to start off by pointing out the parts I did not use. Because I'm actually setting these test beds up to use here internally at Newegg TV, and I know I'm not going to have any 5¼ inch drives, or if I do, it's going to be temporary. So I didn't use these 5¼ inch drive side panels. Those are optional, and you can do it without those. Apart from that, here's the rest of the accessories when it comes to screws and add-ons and that sort of thing. They do give you a case speaker, which is very nice, especially if you're doing testing. You want to analyze post beeps or that sort of thing. They give you a hex screw tightener. That's for the motherboard standoff. Since you do install those, it's best to tighten those down before you install your motherboard. You also have another assortment of screws here. So for instance, you get these little spacer ones. These are for installing 3.5 inch drives on, through the little rubber grommets, a few extra black thumb screws, some more motherboard standoffs, as well as assorted other screws that you can use. These, for example, are for mounting the power supply, which I haven't done yet. But the entire T60 is over here. So this test bed is all assembled, at least for my purposes right now. I do not have a system installed on it, but I can at least give you guys sort of a rundown of the features as you might see them. So one of the cool things about this test bed that I like is that it has a handle right here up on the top. It's got the LIAN Li logo right there in the middle, and it's pretty centrally balanced, although it's a bit better balanced actually once you have the hardware in there, because you'll have a lot more weight down here at the bottom with the power supply and whatnot. But that does make it really easy to pick that whole test bed up, move it around, relocate it, plug it into different monitors or that sort of thing. Up here on the front, this is the gap where you can have that optional add-on accessory where you can add a few USB 3.0 ports. Over here on this side, you can see the power and reset button. Those will light up. They have LEDs behind them, so you can see when the power is on, and then there's also a little red light behind the reset button. Motherboard tray is up here on top. I've installed the standoffs for a standard ATX layout. Flipping around here to the back, you can see our Pci Expansion Slots right there. Again, you get a total of 8 of those, and they're all held on with black thumb screws, so that makes it really easy to pop those panels off and install additional video cards or that sort of thing. Looking from the side, you can see sort of the construction from your side pieces here. They're held on with thumb screws, so at a few key areas they have done thumb screw construction, so you can pop those off if you wanted to in the future, for example. Around here on the back, we have an element of this that I actually didn't like at first when I was originally looking at this. That's this kind of foot that sits down in the back. It is held on with thumb screws, so you can remove it if you need to get at the power supply bracket, for example. But this is actually very important when it comes to the weighting of the thing, especially when it's loaded down. This will help keep it much more stable on the back, and this is another one of those pieces where they did have you put a bit of rubber there at the bottom, so all the contact points to the ground here, whether you're talking about your rubber feet over here or this little extra foot over there, they're all rubberized, so it keeps vibration to a minimum. There you can see your power supply mounting tray. Flipping around back over here, this is the 3.5 inch drive cage. You can fit up to 3.5 inch drives in there. This is another place where they've gone with thumb screws to hold this tray in place. So if I remove those really quick, you can see they actually give you a couple little spring items to pop in there, and that lets you remove that drive cage completely. You can see where it kind of hooks in the back back there. And then this drive cage does have the little rubber grommets in there, as you can see. So you mount through those to mount your hard drive, and that helps keep vibration down. All right, popping that back in. The springs, by the way, help keep it pressed up against when it's actually installed, and that helps this whole tray from rattling around. Finally, for the power supply mounts, as you can see over here, this is another place where we've used some rubber strips. So again, helps keep the power supply nice and stable on there. Since it will have a spinning fan, it will help keep the vibration and noise down from that as well. Now, a couple brackets that I did install, which you maybe can see up here on the right side towards the back. Yeah, sorry, it's kind of difficult to see. Actually, you can't really see that at all. What am I talking about? Let me flip it around. How about that? That might be easier for Steve. Okay, so this is one of the brackets I did install. That's a 2.5-inch bracket, so you can hold a couple 2.5-inch drives up there. Those are kind of hidden away. And then there's one other 2.5-inch mount, which is one that I've used before. That's actually on top of this removable cage that I just removed. And I should have shown it to you when I removed it, but there you go. 4 standard 2.5-inch mounting points on the top of that as well. So you can fit, at least with this configuration right now, I could throw in 3 2.5-inch drives and 3 3.5-inch drives, and that's not even including those 2 5.25-inch brackets, which I opted not to install at this time. But there's a quick overview of the assembled LIAN Li T60. And that is going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Once again, we've been taking a closer look at the LIAN Li T60 open air all aluminum test bed for ATX, Micro-ATX, and Mini ITX systems. I'm Paul with Newegg TV. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and maybe click the like button down there in the like area, and maybe leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I think I have one more of these to put together, so I'm going to get started on that. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.